This is the story of a man who had everything: money, cars, houses, and power. People feared him. People followed him. From the outside, it looked like he was living the perfect life. But inside, he was empty. His heart was cold. He believed money could buy anything: respect, friends, even love. He believed he was the smartest, the strongest, the untouchable. His name was David King. People called him the billionaire genius. But behind his smile was arrogance. Behind his power was pride. This is the story of the arrogant billionaire, a story of pride, betrayal, love, and a lesson that money can never buy. David King was only 35 years old, but he was already one of the richest men in the country. He owned big companies. He had luxury cars. He lived in a huge mansion with guards at the gate. He traveled in private jets. Everyone knew his name. His face was on TV, in magazines, and online. People said, "David King is a genius. Everything he touches becomes gold." But David had one big problem. He was arrogant. He looked at people as tools, not as humans. When his workers made mistakes, he shouted. When his business partners disagreed, he crushed them. When people gave advice, he laughed and said, "I know better. I am David King." David had many people around him, but no one close to his heart. His workers feared him. His friends wanted his money. Women liked his gifts, but not him. The only person who loved him truly was his mother. She was kind and simple. She often told him, "David, money can buy a house, but not a home. Money can buy a bed, but not sleep. Money can buy things, but not a warm heart." But David never listened. He thought she was old-fashioned. One day, a rival company accused David of cheating. The news spread fast. "Is David King a fraud?" screamed the headlines. His company's shares started falling. Business partners grew scared. His so-called friends started avoiding him. But David laughed and said, "I am David King. Nobody can touch me." He spent millions on lawyers. He tried to pay people for silence, but nothing worked. His empire slowly began to shake. At this time, David met someone very different. Her name was Emma. She was a young lawyer working on the case against him. She was not rich. She was not famous, but she was fearless. She looked straight at David and said, "Your money does not scare me." For the first time, David was shocked. No one had ever spoken to him like this. Slowly, he began to respect her. And soon, he began to like her. But Emma did not like arrogance. She told him, "You may be rich, but you are poor in kindness. Until you change, you will always be empty." Just when David thought he could win everything back, a disaster came. His closest partner, the man he trusted most, betrayed him. That man stole David's secret plans and gave them to competitors. Overnight, David lost half his fortune. The media laughed. His cars, private jet, and grand parties all disappeared. People who once bowed before him now turned away. David felt weak. For the first time in his life, he felt what it meant to lose. Alone in his empty house, David remembered his mother's words. "Money can buy many things, but not a warm heart." He finally understood. He had shouted at workers, used people, and lived with pride. And now he was alone. But one person stayed Emma, not because of money, but because she saw a small change in him. David started changing step by step. He said sorry to the workers he once shouted at. He gave money to poor families, but quietly, without cameras. He worked again, but this time he listened to his team. He treated people with respect. Slowly, things began to change. People started trusting him again, not because of money, but because of kindness. Years passed. David rebuilt his business. He became rich again, but this time he was different. People no longer called him the arrogant billionaire. They called him the kind leader. He and Emma became partners in life. Together, they started a foundation for poor children's education. David finally understood. Money can buy comfort, but not happiness. Money can buy followers, but not true friends. Money can buy a wedding ring, but not real love. Only kindness and humility can give those things. So, my friends, what do we learn from the story of David King, the arrogant billionaire? We learn that pride destroys, but kindness builds. We learn that money is powerful, but it is not everything. We learn that love, respect, and happiness must be earned, not bought. Remember, respect cannot be bought. Love cannot be bought. True happiness cannot be bought. They must come from the heart. Now tell me in the comments, do you think rich people sometimes forget the real value of life?